Welcome to the fourth in our series of the Anglican Tradition series. What we're going to deal with this particular topic and time is the battle for the Bible. One of the dilemmas of the Protestant tradition in the Western Christianity, when it critiqued the Roman Catholic tradition, it turned to the Bible as the dominant form of authority. And within large elements of the Protestant tradition, the Bible became authoritative, it was inspired, inerrant, infallible. And often the litmus test within the Protestant tradition is an understanding of the authority of the Bible. Now, many Protestants, of course, in the 16th century, all claimed to be turning to the Bible as their penultimate source of authority. Obviously, the living Christ was the ultimate source of authority. The dilemma in the 16th century, as the battle of the Bible ensued, was not a disagreement about the authority of the Bible. It was a battle over the authority of the interpretation of the Bible. And this is what began to separate and fragment the church in the 16th century and everything that followed thereafter. And so Protestantism fragmented and split over the battle of the Bible. Important to note, as I mentioned before, the great issue was not the authority of the Bible, but it was much more about the authority of the interpretation of the Bible. And so often you'll hear today various forms of Reformed and evangelical thinkers going after liberals in terms of their lack of appreciation of the authority Bible as a form of guidance for the life of the church. And the liberals, of course, can turn on the Protestants and various types of Protestants and argue that, yes, you claim that the Bible is your source of authority, but you can never agree on how it is a source of authority on a whole range of ecclesial, personal, theological, economic issues. Now, when we think of the authority of the Bible, the other dilemma we have to face is how do we interpret the Bible? There are 3 or 4 significant levels the church has always understood in terms of the interpretation of the Bible as a form of authority. There's the liberal, the historical, the grammatical tradition, which played a very significant role in what we call the early church, the Antiochian tradition. John Chrysostom, Theodore of Mopsuestia, these traditions held very high, obviously, the authority of the Bible, but a certain way of interpreting. The Alexandrian tradition held to what we call an allegorical or a spiritual read of the Bible. And so in the early church, in the struggle for whose interpretation of the Bible, there were these interpretive traditions which were very, very important in the battle for the Bible, because it was really a battle over the interpretation of the Bible, which we call deuterocanonical authority. The Bible is seen as authoritative, then the other level of authority is in interpretation itself. Now, when we think of the authority of the Bible and its role in the church, the big question that always has to be asked again and again is, are all verses, all chapters in the Bible of equal authority? And in the Christian tradition, the argument is that the new supplants the old, and so you already have a certain understanding of how the authority of the Bible works, and then there are passages in the New that have more authority than other passages in the New. For example, we don't accept slavery in the modern world, whereas St. Paul will write about slavery and a certain compliance in terms of accepting slavery. We would not accept that today. The Beatitudes takes precedent over certainly other ethical codes, such as where Paul argues in Romans, and sometimes Peter does too. We should accept the state, well, because it is ordained of God. But what happens when the kingdom of God collides with the states of this world? And so what you have in both the old and the new supplants the old or interprets the old in a unique manner that creates Christianity, and then there are means of interpreting the new in which some passages, some books have higher authority than others. So when we think for the battle of the Bible, there's a whole range of questions that have to be raised, and Anglicanism, as a part of its history, has certainly grappled with that without reducing it to a very simplistic, the Bible, like snake oil or silver bullet, will answer all your questions as long as you say the Bible's your source of authority.